the trade regime that the United States was so instrumental in introducing to the world in the post-World War II era that benefited everyone, that created so much wealth, unheard of wealth around the globe for everyone, because trade makes everyone better off. And when you begin to, throw a wrench into it and say, well, we're going to be self-sufficient, that's a recipe for true economic dislocation and decline, honestly.
President-elect Donald Trump is well on his way to becoming the 47th president of the United States. He will be inaugurated later this month. And we, here on Times Radio, are continuing to follow how the next leader of the Western world will be finalizing his plans for when he assumes power. Let's talk to US columnist Mona Charen. Hi there, Mona.
Hi, Nick. Nice to be with you.
Happy New Year to you. We are
And to you.
counting down the days to the inauguration. What do we know about what these first 100, incredibly important 100 days are going to look like?
Well, we are already in the midst, which is kind of unusual for us. I mean, usually there is a interregnum after the election, before the inauguration, where things are, you hear news about potential appointments and such. But this, because we now live in the era of Trump, nothing is normal, and so there have been ferocious online battles within the MAGA camp. That is the Make America Great Again. They call themselves MAGA camp. They're the people who want high-skilled immigration are fighting with the nativists, so it's all very raw. It's all very out in the open. It isn't normal, and neither are many. Well, at least, yes, I would say it's fair to say neither are many of the nominees that the next president has put forth. So it's a time of a certain amount of turmoil, and we don't know where it's going.
Well, this was the thing, because the first presidency of Donald Trump was characterized by a degree of chaos, and yet his election winning machine this time round was ruthlessly professional. And I guess a lot of people were thinking that this was going to spill over, and once he'd won the election, was going to spill over into the way that his administration was selected. But you are describing this open warfare between what you call the nativists and what I suppose other people have called the kind of tech bro element of the MAGA movement, perhaps spearheaded by Elon Musk, over the immigration and highly skilled immigrants coming from developing world countries to boost the economy. Elon Musk has been very, very forceful, saying, no, this is what this country needs. Whereas there are those people who are saying, actually, all immigration needs to stop. America is full. The fact it's spilled out into the open already at this stage with such rancor, I wonder if that's a portent of things to come.
It's it's hard to imagine that it is not a portent of things to come, because um, you're right. Trump ran a more professional campaign this time around, though there were some very, very unprofessional aspects to it. Um, but he has also surrounded himself and welcomed into his camp some truly crazy figures like Laura Loomer, who was a 9/11 truther, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. himself, who is a conspiracist of the first order. So um, it is hard to imagine that with the kinds of appointees and the kinds of people, because Trump has only one standard for people that he wants around him, and that's loyalty to him. And if you are a loyal Trump follower, nothing else matters, whether you are a domestic abuser, whether you are a fringe, thinker, whether you are mentally unstable, whether you have a drinking problem, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is loyalty to Trump. And so he has surrounded himself with some very, very unsavory characters. And as you pointed out a second ago, some very vociferous ones online. And so we'll see. I mean, I suppose it's possible that, the president will take the oath of office on January 20th, and peace will descend, and they'll decide to grow up and behave like the adults in the room. But I wouldn't bet on that.
And if you're prioritizing loyalty over competence, you're almost setting yourself up for a fall. Trump has said a lot of things on the campaign trail. What do we know that you can say is almost certain to come our way, or to come America's way, to be more specific, when he is in power? What do you know of his priorities, and have you seen any signs that he is generating enough momentum and enough of a skill set within the people around him to make these priorities actually happen?
So there are two priorities that I think we can probably count on. One is he will do some level of deportation. But it's possible that that will be mostly performative, and there will be a big show of deporting some criminal aliens, and then that will be it. We'll see about that. The other priority of his, though, that I am more confident will actually come to pass is tariffs. The reason I say that is that Trump has very few fixed principles, practically none. But throughout his public career, he has been very keen on tariffs and believes that trade is a zero-sum game where the bigger your trade deficit, the worse off you are. And so he has maintained this view throughout all of his decades on the public stage. He did pursue tariffs in his first term. They did damage the economy, though he doesn't know that or acknowledge it. And so I do think we can expect tariffs, and that, of course, means we can expect retaliation from our trading partners, and the world economy will be affected, and not for the better.
The America First idea, which you are alluding to there, the idea that America should be managing on its own domestic affairs before it starts thinking about what it does abroad, is obviously a challenge for UK politicians. We've left the EU and we are looking for trade deals with countries. US is one country that we keep looking towards. And I think there was a concern that tariffs are actually going to make the possibility of some kind of trade deal a lot harder. I presume that just doesn't even feature in Trump's thinking.
Right. I mean, I remember when soon after Brexit happened, there was a lot of brave talk about how there was going to be a bilateral free trade agreement between the United States and Great Britain that, of course, never materialized. These things are very difficult, and it's far easier to break things than to build them, as I think the British public, if I understand it correctly, is coming to the late conclusion that maybe getting out of Brexit was bad, getting out of the European Union was not a great plan. But it's not for me to comment on British internal politics, not my area of expertise. But the way it relates to the United States is that there is a lack of appreciation about the network of agreements, the trade regime that the United States was so instrumental in introducing to the world in the post-World War II era, that benefited everyone, that created so much wealth, unheard of wealth around the globe for everyone, because trade makes everyone better off. And when you begin to throw a wrench into it and say, well, we're going to be self-sufficient, that's a recipe for true economic dislocation and decline, honestly.